Welcome everyone. So this will be the presentation Teach and Travel by Teacherix. And you're here to learn how you could teach in a different country, the various different ways of finding a job, getting a job offer, working for them, getting your legal paperwork like work permit, and who pays for your travel expense, who's going to pay for your living while you're in a different country. We're going to cover all that in roughly about 10 to 15 minutes presentation. So hang on here, grab a piece of paper and a pen, and listen to the whole thing very carefully. And I think I'll be answering all your questions throughout the slide. My name is Sean, and I have taught K-12, various different age kids in K-12 schools internationally for over 12 years now. For the past six and a half years, I have been involved with recruitment of educators and personally have interviewed over 10,000 applicants myself, and I'm responsible for over 1,000 teacher placement globally. When I say globally, I mean all over the world. So not just in US, not just in Canada, UK, we're talking about Europe, Middle East, Asia, you name it. I have personally worked with not just K-12 schools, but also language centers where they teach English to adults. And sometimes they have after-school language centers where they emphasize teaching English to kids that finish school and then they need additional lessons to improve their English. Teacherix platform was established back in 2019. As you can see in the background, that's the whole group, my whole team, while I was still working on recruitment of educators. And the reason we established Teacherix was not just my personal reason. When I started working as a teacher, there was not a lot of places where you could get help. My first job placement was, I think, through Craigslist. And I looked up the school in Europe and I wanted to go and wanted to teach there. And then they had, offered to send a contract through email, and went through the whole process. And I worked at various different schools. And then I settled working in Turkey, where I spent close to 6 years teaching at 3-4 different schools in the K-12 arena. Now, when we started receiving a lot of requests for educators, not just from Turkey locally, but from Middle East, from Europe, from as far as Japan, this is when we established a platform which would help educators from all over the world connect and be able to find jobs. And at the same time, international schools all over the world could connect with an educator. But at the same time, both schools and teachers would have some sort of assurance or guarantee where schools on our platform are all vetted before they could ask for educators. At the same time with educators, we go through, once their profile is set up, we go through a lot of checks so we understand that they are who they say they are, they have that experience, and they are eligible to work with kids, because you're working with these vulnerable kids. And I'm sure you understand that the sensitivity part is very important. And this is why we make sure that the educators that we provide are 100% eligible to work with kids. As the saying goes, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So here is, I just don't have time or the space to put in all the pictures if I wanted to, but I just wanted to give you guys some idea, not to show off that I was an excellent teacher and kids love me, which they still do to this date. And there's one thing about teaching, which is the gratification that you get, the excitement that you get when kids progress. They get better, they speak better, they write better. It's just it's totally unmatched with any other profession. So anyway, here's some of the shots where I taught from kindergarten. And by the way, I love teaching. I know a lot of the teachers, they ask for high school, they don't like kindergarten. I loved kindergarten. You need to have a lot of patience. You need to have a lot of energy. But those kids are angels. They're totally angels to work with. As long as kids are very smart, very perceptive, very smart. It takes 10 to 20 seconds when you walk in a classroom for the first time. They look at you and they know if they're going to love you or they're going to hate you. Simple as that. You know, they're not political. Kids are very honest. So I enjoy teaching. I traveled a lot because of that, as you're going to see throughout the slides. But this is just a couple of the events where we had representing the school that I worked for, or there was teacher training programs. With my experience, I was always asked to come up and train teachers. Anyway, this one is real easy, really easy. I don't have to spend a lot of time here. You should know if you're a patient person. If you're not, this is not for you at all. I'm telling you this right now. I don't care what people tell you. I don't care if they say, oh, it's easier teaching high school or it's easier teaching adults. Yeah, that might be the case, but you still need to have patience. So if you don't have that, like I said, this is not the profession for you. So if you think you have patience, you're a caring person, caring and loving person, you love sharing, that's all you really need. When I started off teaching, I didn't have any experience at all. I got a job offer in email over back then. We used a lot of Skype interviews over. Once I finished a Skype interview, like 10, 15 minutes later, they sent me the job offer, which I was very shocked. And I asked the head of the department when I arrived at the school, why did you hire me? I didn't have any experience at all. And he said, I interviewed hundreds of teachers for this position, and I was looking for someone that I could tell would really click with kids, would have energy, would charm them. This is how they learn. They don't learn by books. They don't learn by formula. They learn by looking at you. They learn by watching you. So if you connect with them, teaching is the job for you. So there are a ton of benefits. I'm not sure if most of you know this, but most of the time a foreign school will pay for your airfare, accommodation, utilities, medical insurance, sometimes even relocation allowance because they know you're relocating from a different country into their homeland. They offer you help with local people to go with you and search for apartments or wherever you need help with. So tax-free income, depending on where you're from. And I know in the U.S. We don't have to pay taxes on a certain amount when you're working overseas. Do consult with your tax attorney. Don't take my word for it. But in the country that you work, they pay your local taxes there, so you get money net into your account. And other than that, you make amazing, amazing friends all over the world. I'm fortunate enough to travel pretty much all over the world. I was honored to be invited to the United Nations. There's only very few people in the world that could say that they were on the United Nations ground in Geneva. As you could see, as far as I could go, I could not step on the lawn. Most people have seen the building, most people have been there, but they haven't been inside. So there was a education conference, and we spent 5 days there meeting teachers from all over the world. And this is all because of the teaching background, the teaching history. And it continued from different countries. They would have education seminar. Sometimes I would have, I'd be invited to speak. And I've done that for, I would say, 8 years now, and love it, love it. Still now I get invitations, but I'm very much grounded in New York now. That's where I live with my family. So I don't get to travel as much as I did before. Well, like I said earlier, I don't have enough space or even time to discuss the trips I've been to because of teaching, the parties that I've invited to because of teaching, the fabulous people I've met in the world because of teaching, from Geneva, Austria, Paris, London, you name it, Spain, Turkey, I mean, I just don't have, like I said, enough time. The point of all this is to tell you that it is one of the professions when you're a foreign educator in a different country, the respect, the invitations, the love that you get is just, I can't share all that here. You will have to, it's one of those things you need to experience it yourself. But the feeling is amazing. I'm sure most of you on here are much, much younger than I am, and you are probably an expert on technology, on the internet, on searching, on TikTok, on Instagram, Facebook, you name it. So what are some places that you can find jobs overseas? Google, probably Indeed. LinkedIn is one of the good resources. There are so many different sites now. We're just inundated with information every day. So there's so many sites you can find all this information. But I'm going to cover some of the points why you need to work with a reliable source. It is very important that we work with schools that are vetted. We live in times, traveling overseas to a different country. It's already tough just to, find a job overseas, but then you have to worry about the legal aspect of it. You need to have legal paperwork. You need to have work permits. I have seen, many cases where teachers were promised work permit and they started working in a foreign land, and then, at their next checkpoint or sometimes their houses were raided by immigration police and they were deported, sometimes sent to jail. And in China, it is very, very common. So it is important to understand which visas you need, which visas allow you to work. A temporary visitor's visa does not allow you to, draw income or work somewhere. So you have to know all these things. And then the way you understand that is when you work with a reliable source. You understand the contracts, you understand the different conditions of the contract to fulfill. You need to have some sort of support in that country, either be the teacher side or someone from the school or someone from the company that has got you the job. So in case of any emergency, you need to get back, you need to cancel your contract, you need to get your tickets to fly back. You have those help that's needed. Finding a job just off the internet and flying to a different country, it is not advisable, not from someone who spent years and years overseas and have seen a lot of times where people were stuck and they just didn't know how to get help. So this slide is very self-explanatory as we place teachers in various capacities: admin, education role, language schools, private teachers. A lot of the members that apply for teaching positions are first-time teachers, so they just have a bachelor's degree, not necessarily in education in any other field, and then they get one of those teaching certificate like Tefl, Tesol, and they can work. There has been times that we have placed teachers with just associate degrees if you don't have a bachelor's degree. A lot of times, especially with pre-K, kindergarten, or if you're appointed to just teach speaking part, not the whole grammar, so you can get away with that as well. But you have to be mindful of the regulations in the country to get a work permit. When you go as a English teacher or a subject teacher to country, they have to see why the schools are offering you a job over their locals. So all that does matter, but reach out to us if you need to understand more about this. When it comes to salaries and benefits, teaching is not different from other professions. It's always your education level, your experience, your enthusiasm, your availability, and depending on when the school has offered you a position, if it's for immediate grab or you have to wait for the next year. So all those factors are there, but just to give you an idea, teaching salary starts anywhere from $1,000, $1,200 a month net, all the way up to, we have placed principal at $8,800 a month net salary, plus the benefit package. Okay, so now let's see how much you know about countries and cities. And I wanted you to guess, what city do you think this is? What country is this? I'll give you 5 seconds before I give you the reply. Okay, so this is Istanbul in Turkey, a city known to connect Europe with Asia by a bridge called the Bosphorus Bridge. You have probably seen these balloons before in movies and pictures. This is in Turkey, a city called Cappadocia. A lot of people go there for the hot balloon rides, and it's a very very popular tourist spot. So I wanted to help out with giving you some clues, and I've shown the flag on the left-hand corner, upper corner of the picture. This is Czech Republic. The most famous city that you probably know is Prague, a beautiful place. I hope that all of you do have a chance to visit. It's amazing. They don't all speak English there, but it's amazing. You can get some help. People do speak English, but not as much as in Amsterdam, which was amazing. Everyone, is very helpful, and they all speak English. But nevertheless, Prague is a beautiful, beautiful city to visit. I'm sure everyone knows this, so I don't even have to worry about it. It's in every movie, most of the videos. It's everywhere. The most, famous city in the world, Paris. Like I said, we cover pretty much, any destination in the world. These are probably the most popular one with us, or we get a lot of requests from these countries for teaching positions. But you can get a whole lot of details on the website. In most cases, a bachelor's degree is required for you to teach overseas. It could be in any field. There are exceptions to the rule. Sometimes schools do not care, as long as you have an associate's degree or you have a high school diploma alongside a teaching certificate, which they're very easy to obtain these days. When I was learning about teaching and everything, I went through a proper school, spent 2 months there, paid about $3,000-4,000 to get a teaching certificate. Now you can get these things online for anywhere from $70 to I think $120, $150, from 60 hours to 120 hours certificate. Either one of these certificates are enough for you to get a job at a school. Plus, it helps you to get work permits in different countries. Most school starts around August, but then again, there are semester systems. Sometimes they have summer school, so it varies. A teacher, pretty much just to sum it up, a teacher is required throughout the year. It could be replacement, it could be expansion, it could be addition of classes that they did not estimate. The enrollment would be 100 and the enrollment was 200, so they need additional teachers. So, that's just a requirement goes throughout the whole year. I think this is self-explanatory. I don't need to draw a lot on this slide, but just so you understand, it's good to have a support element behind you. It's good to have a company that understands and knows, what teaching is all about. What are the issues with traveling and working in different countries? It doesn't cost anything for you to set up and create your profile. You don't need a credit card to start off with. There are, hundreds of teachers that have found job through Teacherix without paying a single penny. There are other options if you wanted to add those options, or if you wanted to have your profile vetted, then they cost a certain amount of fee. But I would say log on to Teacherix and you can review everything there. I think by now most of you understand the benefits of working with a platform that connects you with schools globally, plus at the same time the schools that you're working with, you're applying for jobs with, or you're signing a contract with, it gives you the comfort to know that they've been vetted and they've been added to Teacherix platform. So you get the benefit of working with a reliable school. Teacherix will always be your reliable partner. I hope I have given you a fair understanding of teaching overseas, the whole concept of teach and travel, and I hope I touched on some questions that you might have. Nevertheless, if you still have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And I would recommend that you set up and create your educator profile. Even if you're in the process of getting your teaching certificate, still go ahead and create the profile, because it is a lot easier for us to answer and give you advice when we see everything in front of us. And we can recommend and suggest jobs also at the same time with matching criteria that you might have. So I hope to speak to you soon, and I hope all of you will join Teacherix, and we'll start your travel journey, and we want to be your partner.